It's Thursday, and that means we get to quickly summarize the news events of the previous day, March the 29th of 2023. This show is designed for you to quickly get your daily news fix without having to resort to endlessly scrolling through a long news feed. Find Too Long Didn't Scroll on platforms like YouTube and most podcast apps, and more short-form content is available on our YouTube Shorts page, Instagram, and TikTok. We start off the events of March the 29th of 2023 in the country of Colombia in South America, where an internal military conflict in the form of insurgency has continued since the early 1960s, when a large group of criminal syndicates, drug cartels, and several paramilitary groups ranging from far-left insurgent armies to guerrilla groups like the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, the National Liberation Army, and the Popular Liberation Army, all seeking to gain control of Colombian territory for themselves, has happened, with the insurgency having its roots in repression of communists and leftists in the countries from the 1940s to 1960s. The conflict at present has since become sporadic and low level, though that did not stop it from claiming the lives of over around 450,000 people, civilians and soldiers included. As of today, militants from the National Liberation Army, or the ELN, have conducted an attack on a Colombian government military base in the Norte de Santander department using homemade mortars. The attack proceeded to kill 9 soldiers and wounded 9 other people. In the country of Myanmar, the incumbent military junta government ruling over the country appears to be continuing to double down on its attempted clamp over the country after it took charge of the country in a military coup d'etat back in 2021 after the contested election results. Myanmar's military forces, the Tatmadaw, under the leadership of General Min Aung Hlaing, stormed the country's capital and had the then incumbent leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, arrested for crimes such as corruption and violation of COVID-19 protocols. The most international parties have called the military seizure of power entirely politically motivated. The junta has continued to attempt to tighten its grip over the country through continuing to delay elections and transitions back to civil democracy in spite of nationwide protests and even an ongoing civil war as insurgent militant groups opposed to the coup d'etat have clashed with Tatmadaw forces since 2021. However, the junta has continued to double down today with the full dissolution of Aung San Suu Kyi's political party, the National League for Democracy, after the NLD party refused to re-register under the junta's new political regulations. Whether the junta will continue on with the election plan at this point remains completely uncertain. Focusing on the Senate of the United States of America, multiple several years outdated resolutions have finally been repealed in large majorities. The resolutions were authorizations for use of military force passed in 1991 and 2002 in the country of Iraq, back when the Iraq War raged on during the 1990s, and another iteration continued into the 2000s and early 2010s. The first iteration occurred when the American Senate agreed to pass the authorization to assist in the coalition invading Iraq to overthrow leader Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War after the invasion of Kuwait. Another authorization passed over a decade later upon America's decision to intervene in the subsequent Iraqi Civil War. The war in Iraq has since reached the point of conclusion in 2011 when American military intervention was declared to be no longer necessary and soldiers were withdrawn, though the 2 resolutions remained in place as so-called quote-unquote zombie authorizations since they were not actually repealed. As of today, however, these long-standing and unnecessary resolutions have since finally been fully repealed in a 66-30 vote in the American Senate, having long outlived their mandate. In other news, 12 people are dead and 7 more missing after a ship caught fire and sank off the Philippine coast near Basilan Island, and Chile has reported 1 case of the H5N1 bird flu avian influenza virus within its borders.